and these are blocks of hundreds of years. So basically, these are centuries. So at each end, we've got the key events of the biblical story. This one is the call of Abraham. So let's just put Abraham here, and here is Jesus. And right about halfway, let's put it right here. Let's put the monarchy. Actually, let's change this. Let's make this a person as well. The person who represents the sort of the peak of the monarchy is David. So let's put David there. Even though he really should be in the 900s rather than the 1000s. But let's put him there anyway. Okay. The next important date is the Exodus, and we'll put the Exodus right here. And then we have the exile. So this would be the exile of Judah, right about here, and then the exile of Israel, the northern kingdom, right about here. Okay. So Abraham and Jesus, Exodus and exile, and David sort of stuck there in the middle. Now, let me just make this a little bit bigger. Obviously, let me change a color just so it doesn't get too messy. So this would be, we've called this pre-monarchical and then this would be the period of the monarchy. And we could take this, and if we put, hang on a second. So all these colors here. Okay, so if this is David, and this is Solomon. Okay, so let's put Solomon here. Okay, and then we'll go back to the monarchies here. Okay, so this would be the divided monarchy. So in this period, you have a king of Israel and a king of Judah. This would be the united monarchy. So one king over Israel and Judah. Okay. So before this is what we might call the patriarchal period. So let's call this the patriarchs, right? And here is captivity in Egypt, which is 400 years. And about there, the patriarchal period here. And the pre-monarchical period, the united monarchy, and the divided monarchy. Okay. So right here, if we kind of color in this period, so let's give this a sort of this kind of a color. This is what we might call the the primeval history. With the story of the Tower of Babel, right, taking place right here on the cusp. And this extends, many, many long periods of time. So this is really giving us the history of Israel, and if we sort of take this from the Exodus to the exile of Judah, this in Israel's memory is Israel as a free people. And then we have the exile, and then after the exile, we'll talk about this a bit more today. We have the return from exile. Okay. And then this would be the Maccabean period. So there's another period here where we can talk about Israel under the nations. So Persia, Media, Greece, and Syria. And then finally, here, Rome, after the Maccabean period, or the Hasmonean period. So hopefully this gives you an idea of kind of the order of things. We might call this Israel's prehistory. We usually mark Israel becoming a people at the time of the Exodus, right? So Israel becomes a people. Right there. Okay, this and we'll call this the exile, where Israel in captivity. Now, here, of course, when we talk about Israel, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. We're really talking about Judah, because Israel has already gone into exile, so here, Israel, yes, but we can also maybe here talk about, I don't know, what's the best way to say this? The Jews might be the easiest way. I hope that helps. I hope it gives you some sense of how things unfold. And tomorrow we're going to start. Let me just get my highlighter up here. Tomorrow we're gonna start with Jesus. Today we're going to look at this period here, which is the period between the well, some people call it the end of the Old Testament. It really depends on when you have the book of Daniel written. But the last of the canonical books, with the exception of Daniel, is probably here. So the last of canonical Old Testament, that is, books written about that period of time. Some people also put Ecclesiastes in this period as well. Okay, so as I said, I hope that helps.